UTMB has made a groundbreaking discovery that could lead to the ultimate end of the disease. They've found while amyloid starts the disease, there's another protein that progresses it. And by attacking that protein, they're on the cusp of something amazing. This is the lab at UTMB where Dr. Raquez Kayed and his team have developed a nasal spray that could unlock the secret to curing Alzheimer's.
They're known in this lab worldwide.
You might be familiar with other pharmaceuticals entering the market that attack amyloid plaque. Newer drugs are aiming to delay progression of Alzheimer's by targeting amyloid. But Dr. Kayed says they fall short of eliminating the protein that he says is responsible for the progression of the disease, the tau protein.
The amyloid is the trigger, and tau is the one who kills the cells. Once these cells start to accumulate this tau, then they become dysfunctional, they cannot communicate with each other, then they impair the memory. So we designed a drug that only lashes on the bad tau.
In early studies with mice, the team can already prove the drug works.
The animals improved within 3 weeks.
And the good news is, by making the drug a nasal spray, they overcome another hurdle of getting it to cross into the blood-brain barrier.
Yeah, normally less than 1% of the drug penetrates the brain. But here we administer this tiny fraction, and almost all of it gets into the brain.
Saying that he wants to cure Alzheimer's is a bold enough statement, but he's not just stopping there. He's talking about this curing 6 different diseases.
The goal is to cure at least 6, 7 of these aging diseases, which is Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, dementia with Lewy body.
Because illnesses like that, he says, are also caused by the tau protein.
This is why we developed not one drug. We developed 6 of them. This is the first. Hopefully the others will follow suit.
So that first drug to treat Alzheimer's is still moving through clinical trials. Dr. Kayed says optimistically this could get to the market in 3 years. He says if it does get held up along the way, it could take up to 7 years. But he says with certainty that he thinks his drug is going to be ready within the next decade. Wow. 15-year-old Mary Kate, she just finished like her 7th round of chemo this week. You think that's a lot, and she's still got more to go. I can't imagine how hard that is, and she tells me that she couldn't have done it without this space to practice her music.
But I still have this faith in the truth of my dreams.
Mary Kate Crush is practicing her audition for her school performance, only she's not doing it at school.
My first day of high school was in the hospital talking about chemo and radiation.
She has a CIC rearranged sarcoma. Immediately upon diagnosis, her family packed their car in Illinois and drove to MD Anderson in the Texas Medical Center. That's a 15-hour drive, but they were chasing a cure at the place with the confidence to treat her. And confidence comes from unexpected places sometimes. For Mary Kate, she found it singing away inside the music room at the Ronald McDonald House.
I am preparing for my high school spring musical.
Are you going to audition from here?
Yes. Unfortunately, I'm still going to be here for the audition dates, so I am going to have either a video that I'm going to send in, or on the date I am going to have a Zoom meeting.
Anna Trevino and Jonathan Godfrey from the Prelude Foundation often teach music to kids staying at the Ronald McDonald House because they say music is healing.
When you make music, our body releases oxytocin and dopamine and serotonin so that we feel better.
One of our favorite things to observe and witness is the face of a parent during music class. The children forget what they're going through. You see pure joy. You see them feeling the beat. You see them singing. And you see this moment that's created from music.
Ronald McDonald Greater Houston CEO Christina Vetrano says that's why they have this.
They're going to find ways to soothe and work through their emotions in lots of different ways. And so we try to have a lot of options for that. So a music room is super important. We also have an art room. We do activities for the families, 1 or 2 activities a day.
And all of the services, in addition to the housing, is free of charge. So families can focus on kids getting better, and kids can focus on the things that matter most to them.
Having a space to sing has been such a huge help, and this just gives me a place to go to another world and my world. So.
Now, as a reminder, the Ronald McDonald House is free of charge for patients who need to temporarily live by the hospital, and they run entirely on donations. Now, as for Mary Kate, she's got 4 rounds of treatments left, and then she's hoping to be done and gone by the end of January. So it was nice knowing you, Mary Kate, but we also hope that you can get out of here next. They are shooting for the stars to better understand one of the most complicated systems in the universe, our immune system. Inside this lab at MD Anderson,
we've been studying T cells as a form of treatment for cancer for more than 20 years.
T cells are what they're hyper-focused on. What do those do? Good question.
So T cells are a type of white blood cell in your immune system, and they're responsible for fighting viruses, sometimes called killer T cells, because they recognize and they kill the tumor.
With that kind of power, scientists like Cassie and Yi want to figure out how they can manipulate T cells to provide protection from cancer. The T cells are a bit of a mystery in medicine. How the memory develops or why some T cells suffer exhaustion isn't fully understood, and the idea of provoking them is intriguing.
We're trying to develop T cells that have long-lasting memory and are resistant to exhaustion.
So he says the conditions in space may unlock discoveries he can't achieve here on Earth.
There have been a lot of experiments that have been done to simulate microgravity on Earth with random positioning machines, or even flying the T cells in parabolic flight to simulate gravity for short periods of time. But in order to influence the differentiation path that T cells take to become memory, you actually have to subject them to the influence of microgravity for longer periods of time.
And NASA says it's a launch. Yi and his team are preparing to one day send T cells to space and hoping the results are out of this world.
If we can make memory cells, then we can give patients long-lasting T cells that will continue to fight cancer and to prevent it from relapsing.
So that's who it would really be important for, is people who've already had cancer and are at risk for a relapse.
Absolutely. So one of the other important things about immunotherapy or T cell therapy is the ability to provide long-lasting protection. And doing so, you may not have to continue to give more therapy or other types of treatments that can be debilitating to the patient's health.
This year's Boston Marathon is more than just a race for one runner. After 2 hip replacements, this Houston mom thought that her hobby of long-distance running was over. She couldn't find anyone who had run marathons after a double hip transplant. So without somebody to inspire her, she paved her own way, and today she plans to cross the finish line in Boston. Carrie Bradshaw lets me run alongside her as she trains for the most elite marathon in the U.S. Today, she takes to the starting line of the Boston Marathon. Her second time on the course, but her first time with 2 hip replacements. Why is the Boston Marathon this time around, though, like more special? Or is it more special than the first time you ran it?
I feel like this is my second chapter of running again. This second time actually feels like I'm getting to do it again and experience the Boston Marathon as if it's my first time again.
A couple years ago, Carrie needed an operation to replace both of her hips in order to fix congenital hip dysplasia, which happens when the hip socket doesn't form right at birth. When it goes undetected, like it did in Carrie, it leads to a life of painful arthritis.
Which felt like a death sentence as a runner and a young mom. I was 40 at the time.
Does it bother you now when you're running? I mean, I'm sure you're doing like really grueling training right now. Does it bother you?
It's like I have this new body, Now the rest of my body's had to adjust. Like new siblings have been, brought into the home, and everybody's having to adjust. Like, all parts of my body, my feet, my shins, everything, to my new gait and everything. But for the most part, I forget a lot of days that I've had hip replacements.
And you like your doctor?
Love my doctor.
So he's coming to Boston?
Oh my gosh, yes. I'm so excited. It got me choked up to think about him just being there after everything he's seen me experience and go through, and getting to be there like for this big victory lap. This is my victory lap. I could barely walk some days, and even though Dr. Stocks told me that he was confident I would get back to running, there are no guarantees. I couldn't find anybody like me.
You couldn't find that. Do you find that now that you're posting about your journey, that other people are starting to identify with your journey?
Yes, absolutely. It's not only my own redemption race, I feel like it's bigger, and I'm running for all of the people in my hip community or the bionic community who are up late at night at 2 a.m. Googling, can I run after a hip replacement? And now they'll be able to find me and have that hope that I struggled finding.
Carrie's been sending me updates from Boston. Her corral began at 11 a.m. this morning. Good luck, Carrie.
Head, shoulders, knees and toes, knees and toes.
5-year-old Yesenia is used to having her tiny little body parts under examination when she comes here.
They give me a poke in the finger.
When they give you the poke in the finger, does it hurt?
No, I've been brave.
She has acute lymphoid leukemia, which is the most common type of cancer in kids and also the easiest to treat.
First 6 to 7 months are pretty intensive. And then they get into the last about 2 years of therapy where they mostly are taking pills every day. Overall childhood cancer cure rates right now are 80%. In patients with leukemia, like Yesenia has, 95% and higher. And when we say cure, we mean cancer never comes back. They grow up and rule the world, which I think is what she's going to do. And it's just phenomenal.
And how the family got here is also phenomenal. Her mother and father somewhat unexpectedly chose to move to Houston just before the war in Ukraine started.
Yesenia went to pre-K, and like a lot of kids, and they're all exchange viruses. But then a couple of weeks she thought that Yesenia is pale, and they told us that we need to go straight to ER.
Since the moment she came to the pediatrician office till Dr. Dreyer came to us with final diagnosis was 23 hours. And that was our first night in ICU. And when we woke up,
we opened like curtains. And I saw Ukrainian flag.
One single pole.
Right in front of me.
Ukrainian flag.
So seeing Ukrainian flag, and I just turned to Vadim and I asked him, do you see the exact same what I see? Do you see Ukrainian flag? It was like really some kind of miracle for us. I don't know, maybe like good sign.
And maybe it was a good sign on their terrible night in the ICU, because now Dr. Dreyer is confident Yesenia will have a long, healthy life.
I think from the moment I met her in intensive care, it was like, oh, this is my kind of girl. She's so bright and she's so entertaining to talk to.
I asked millions of questions, like.
So we're so worried, but when she talked to us, so we understood that everything is under control.
She comes from a really tough background, I think, before they came here, and she talks to me about what things are going on in the Ukraine, and that's a lot to be on the shoulders of a young girl. But she's just quite insightful and quite inspirational.
And Yesenia, who they describe as being born the boss of the family, is excited about her future in a fashion show and maybe to help others one day.
But Haley, I even want to be a doctor or a nurse.
And why would you want to do that?
So they can feel better and they can go anywhere they like.
The Texas Children's Cancer and Hematology Center diagnoses more than 600 new cancer patients each year, and because the survival rates are so exceptional, there is a long-term survivor program there, and there they monitor long-term effects on the heart, liver, kidneys. Yesenia will be able to join that program in just about 4 years.
Interesting.
Yeah, so she's on her way.
I find it so sweet for the parents. I mean, it's very difficult to imagine being in that position, but it feels like from the interview, the confidence that they're getting from the staff is so important to them being strong as parents through this process.
It's funny you say that, because I felt there was a psychology behind this, right? I mean, the doctor told them, you do your job as a parent to help her feel better, I'll do my job as a doctor. And then together, I mean, you can see they've got a bright, confident little girl who's going to do just fine.